Oh, you're all on mute, so you can't answer.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. If you can see my screen, that's fine. Okay. So I think most of you know me already and know the salon, but I've just done a little bit of an introduction about me, really, and the salon and what sort of qualifies me to give you advice about your skin. So I'm Lisa. I've got the Beauty Loft in Stone. I've been here for about coming up to 3.5 years, something like that. There's a team of 3 of us at the moment. So we've got Amy, who's our lash technician, and also my daughter, myself, and then we've got Annie. So we're a nice little team. We all get on really well. And myself and Annie are the 2 skin specialists here. Okay, so that's just a little bit about us. So let's just have a little quick talk about the menopause then. So I think we all know about the general symptoms, the general physical symptoms of the menopause, such as hot flushes, mood swings, sweating, irregular periods, all those joyful little things that we have to put up with. But what do we know about what goes on inside that then shows up in the skin? I'm just going to try, I can't see anyone now, I've shared my screen, so I'm just going to have a little fiddle and see if, oh, that's it, I can see you now. Can you still see the screen now I've done that, ladies? Just nod. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't see anyone. I couldn't see anyone, so it's making me feel like I was talking to myself. Yeah, so I'm going to talk a bit about what goes on inside at this time that's sort of showing up on the skin outside. So lines, the things that we know we get as we get older, lines, wrinkles, dry skin, dull skin, sagging skin, they're all sort of really due to a lot of hormonal changes that are going on inside the body when we're going through the menopause. And from the age of 20, we lose collagen at quite a high rate. So we lose 1% of collagen for every year from the age of 20, which is quite a startling fact. It's all right, I'm just checking. I think there's somebody else waiting to come in. That's okay. So there's a dramatic reduction in collagen synthesis. So we do actually make collagen in the skin naturally ourselves, but as we get older, the skin's ability to make this collagen really reduces. And because the hormone levels are so drastically changing when we start going through the menopause, we have a real wide range of effects in different people depending upon your genetics. So the first major change is the decline in estrogen. So 30% of dermal collagen is lost in the first 5 years of the menopause. The skin thickness is affected. So, you know, you lose that elasticity in your skin, and your skin feels a lot thinner than it did before. And this is primarily because of the 2 main hormones, estrogen and progesterone. And it doesn't the estrogen doesn't just sort of gently decline, you know, in a nice easy way. It kind of peaks and troughs like this. So that's why your hormones are so sort of unpredictable and all over the place when we enter the menopause. And why estrogen is so important for the skin is because it increases hyaluronic acid in the dermis. So again, hyaluronic acid is an ingredient that we make ourselves in our skin, and the ability to do that decreases as we get older and as we enter the menopause. Estrogen also stimulates sebum, so you know, it stimulates the oil production on the skin. So when we go into the menopause, some people find that the skin goes a lot drier. It just feels really dry. It also maintains the level of connective tissue in the skin, so that's why we lose the elasticity in the skin, and it helps to retain the moisture. So if you've heard of transepidermal water loss, which I'll talk about a bit later on when we talk about the skin's barrier, that's moisture that's actually being lost from the skin, and all this happens because of a decline in the estrogen that we're making. And it also protects from oxidative stress as well, so free radical damage and that kind of thing. So all in all, it's not a very nice picture, is it, ladies? Low estrogen. So if we get more lines, more wrinkles, sagging skin, it can become dry and dehydrated. It's more prone to UV damage. So although I'm, a great advocate of wearing SPF all the time, it's even more important once you reach that stage where you're going into the menopause. You can also get pigmentation, which is, again, caused by the fluctuation in all the hormones. Some people get pigmentation appearing when they're pregnant because, again, you've got lots of hormonal changes going on in the body. And it's similar to, when you're going through the menopause with those hormonal changes. So that can cause pigmentation and an uneven skin tone as well. Does that make sense? Has anyone got any questions at this point? All okay, that's fine then. Yes, so I just want to talk a bit now about the enemies of collagen. So as I said, collagen depletes as we get, we get older and we enter the menopause. And there are things that we can try and do to, diminish this effect on the skin. So that's why I just want to focus a little bit on, what I class as collagen enemies. So first one is sugar. Excess sugar leads to what we call glycation. And I will go into glycation and show you some images in a bit, as we get further on, of how this affects the skin. But basically, it's where excess sugar is floating around in the bloodstream and it attaches itself to collagen. So that's why we need to be careful that we're not eating, not having a diet that's too sugar filled, especially as we enter the menopause. I don't know about you ladies, but I crave sugar even more as I get older than I used to. So it's quite difficult to kind of say no to those kinds of things. The next one, I think most people know and understand how smoking can affect the skin anyway. But again, even more so when you hit the menopause, the free radical damage that smoking does to the skin is not doing you any favours at all. And then we've got the UV rays. So if you just have a look at this diagram on the screen, it's the UVA rays, which you can see. Let me just see if I can use this pointer here, where the red dot is. The UVA rays here are penetrating more deeply into the skin. Now it's the UVB rays here that sort of cause you to have a suntan, and those are the skin cancer causing UV rays. But the UVA rays here are present all year round, even in the UK. So they can penetrate through glass, through cloud. So if you're driving in the car, the UVA is penetrating through onto your skin. And that kind of UV exposure is attributed to more than 80% of the actual aging to your skin. So that's why I'm always sort of harping on about using SPF every day, even when it's cloudy or even if it's raining. If you're outdoors, you do really need a good facial SPF with a minimum of factor 40 just to protect your skin from those harmful UV rays. And then the next one is stress. So, I think we all have periods, don't we? Especially at the moment where things can be quite stressful. But what stress does to the skin is it produces too much cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and that increases sebaceous gland activity. So what you can find with stress and the way it affects the skin is you can start to get breakouts. You may not have ever suffered with breakouts before. you may have sailed through your teenage years and not had issues with breakouts or acne, and then all of a sudden, you know, when you hit the menopause and certain things are going on that are causing you stress, this release of this hormone really does affect the skin, and you can start getting breakouts and acne. So that's another collagen enemy. Yeah, the other thing with breaking out as well is you can start getting hormonal acne, because it's not really that you're getting more of the male hormone. We've all got so much estrogen and then so much testosterone or progesterone. But what happens is, because the female hormone, the estrogen, is in decline, the male hormone kind of takes over. And that's why some people start getting more facial hair, for example. You can get them sprouting from your chin and, you know, all these places you don't want facial hair. So that's why that happens. It's because of the two differences in the hormones, the estrogen on the decline and the male hormone kind of taking over. So next we've got, just to mention a few things that you can do to try and combat those kind of hormonal breakouts, is that Nemu do a product which is called Corrective Serum. So in here it's got a sebum regulating complex, so it actually regulates the sebum production, which also, and it contains salicylic acid. Now salicylic acid it gets right down into the pores and it unblocks the oil plugs in the pores. So where you get, also some people get thicker sebum as well during the menopause. So it kind of clogs up the pores, and that's another thing that leads to these breakouts. It also contains the lacto complex again, which is balancing, and it stimulates production of oil in a dry area. So it's a kind of skin regulator. If you've got, say, dryness here and then you're more oily down the middle, it will regulate that oil production. And the only reason really that people get more oily in you know, the traditional T-zone is because you've got more oil producing cells in that area. So that's why it happens there. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about on a few other skin concerns that can sort of become apparent as you go through the menopause. So the first one is rosacea. Now this is a client that actually, she's a client of mine, and she's given me permission to use these images, so she won't mind me sharing them with you. But what rosacea is really is it's an impaired barrier. So people who have rosacea have usually got a very sensitive and reactive skin, and it's all due to the fact that your barrier is breaking down. Certain things can cause it to be worse. So certain things trigger rosacea, but certainly as you start going through the menopause, somebody who may not have ever had any issues with this kind of skin concern can suddenly start to develop rosacea. So if you're not sure what rosacea is, it's these sort of red kind of lumps that can appear under the skin. It's usually in what we call a butterfly pattern, so on the cheeks and then over the nose and on, you know, on the other cheek. It can be quite angry looking. It can be made worse with things like alcohol. So if you have a drink, then suddenly, you know, this sort of redness starts to appear. And this lady here was basically presenting with rosacea when she came to me. And the two photographs before and after were taken 6 weeks apart. So just in that short time, just by using products that are going to help with barrier impairment and, you know, ingredients that are going to help to prevent that transepidermal water loss, that's the kind of results that we can actually achieve. So there are things that you can do with rosacea. I know that, you know, I do know people who've gone to the doctors with rosacea and they'll put them on medication, but personally, I would see that as being a last resort. So if you can try and treat it just with skincare, then, you know, I would say that that's a much better option. Let me just change the page that I'm on for my notes. Any questions at the moment, ladies? If there are, just unmute yourselves and then I can hear you, but if not, I'll just carry on. Okay. Yeah, so with rosacea, you'll see flushing, dryness, extreme sensitivity on the skin. The next thing that you can potentially see during the menopause is pigmentation. So again, this is hormone linked. It's also linked to UV damage. So when you have UV trauma to the skin, if your skin is exposed to the sun, it kind of sends the response is to the melanocyte cells go into overdrive. They are there to protect the skin when it's exposed to UV damage. And what can happen when you're on the menopause is that the hormones are going into overdrive and they're sending these this pigment to kind of protect the skin. And what happens is you can't actually replace the melanocyte cells. So you're born with a certain number of these cells, and once they've sort of all been utilised or they've been damaged, they can't be replaced. So it's really important, especially you know, if you're prone to pigmentation, to always wear UV protection. Just to stop them getting any worse. This is another type of pigmentation, which is what we call post-inflammatory pigmentation, which you've probably seen. I've certainly seen it a lot. This is where you've had sun damage, which is being caused by heat and trauma to the skin. So, you know, if someone's been sunbathing and they've not put SPF on the neck and the chest area, and then later on it can suddenly, you know, seem to become a lot worse. Also, and I don't know if anyone's ever told you this, but I would say never spray perfume on your neck or chest directly, because it's like it increases the light sensitivity of the skin. So if you want to wear perfume, I always spray mine onto my clothes, just so that it's not going onto the skin. You will find people will sometimes get pigmentation here as well, at the backs of the wrists, because that's where they're spraying the perfume. So yeah, definitely try and remember not to spray your perfume on you know, directly on your skin. Yeah, so you can get this as well without being menopausal, just as a direct result of trauma caused by sun damage. But what happens is, and I do get people coming in who are sort of in the 40s and 50s saying that they had some sunburn once on the chest, but then it stayed red for years and years, and it's never really, you know, improved. And that's what post-inflammatory pigmentation is. And I think the reason we see it on this area is just simply because sometimes people forget to put SPF on that area, and so it becomes damaged from the UV. So combine that with hormones, you know, and what's going on with your hormones, that's why you get this post-inflammatory pigmentation. And anytime the skin flushes, then after that, it's just going to look worse. And obviously flushing is a, you know, a side effect of the menopause. So we treat it in the same way, really, as we treat any kind of pigmentation. But the older that you are, the more difficult it is to treat this kind of pigmentation. So you will see less dramatic results. And that's because of the fact, like I've just said, you only get one set of these cells, and once they've gone or been damaged, they don't get replaced. It's different to ordinary skin cells, which you know, you're born with a supply of stem cells which can reproduce. but you don't get that with your the cells that produce the pigment. So it's quite different. And it's the same with the collagen as well. So you can teach the skin to make more collagen, but with your pigmentation cells, the older you are, the more difficult it is to treat. So the best thing is, you know, if any of you have got children, teenagers, just sort of drum into them the fact that they need to wear SPF, because they'll thank you for it when they're older. Does that make sense? Yeah. Can't see anyone falling asleep yet, so I think I'm doing okay. Okay, so the next one is the good old lip lines. Don't we love these good old lip lines? So again, this is kind of to do with the decrease in estrogen. And if you can see these kind of, I'll just point with the pointer, these vertical lines here above the vermilion border, which is sort of where the colour is to the lips. These are to do with the decrease in estrogen causing a decrease in collagen. Some people have got liney lips. The lips themselves can be quite liney, but what I would say if somebody wanted to sort that would be never to sort of use any active products, AHAs or anything like that on the actual lip area themselves. That's more because they're just too strong, and this skin is quite sensitive in this area. So anybody who was really, really concerned about lines on the actual lips themselves, that's more an aesthetic kind of treatment, so your lip fillers and things like that. Not that that's something personally that I would, a route that I would ever go down, but you know, if that's what you want, then there's certainly things that you can do for lines that are actually on the lips themselves. So yeah, some people never have lines around this area until the menopause starts, and again it's because of this estrogen deficiency leading to a decline in collagen, and also, you know, it leads to more lines, more sagging skin, and that's the importance of collagen, really. That's what collagen does. But the good news is that we can teach the skin to make more collagen, and I'll go into a little bit more detail about that in a minute. Yeah, so let's have a look at the next one. Okay, so glycation. So I mentioned this briefly before. So with glycation, it is sort of lines and wrinkles, but it's kind of a different type of wrinkle. So if you see on this picture here, how the lines are sort of what we call cross-hatched. So rather than it being sort of a traditional wrinkle, there's sort of lots of crisscrosses on the skin, and that's a sign of glycation, which is too much free sugar in the bloodstream. Now, something like this can be really difficult to treat because it's not really a decline in collagen that's caused these wrinkles. The traditional wrinkle is because of a decline in collagen, but when it's this kind of a wrinkle caused by glycation, a collagen induction treatment isn't really going to get rid of those kinds of wrinkles, because it's not that there isn't collagen there. The collagen is there, but it becomes quite stiff because the sugar in the bloodstream wants to attach itself to protein, and the collagen is protein, so it just kind of attaches itself to the collagen, and therefore it gives this appearance on the surface of the skin. So not an easy one to treat. So the only thing you can do really with that is try not to get into that situation in the first place by having too much sugar in your diet. You do sometimes find that diabetics as well have problems with glycation on the skin, and it's just that the sugar's binding to the collagen and making it less springy, so it just can't flex in the way that it normally would. There are products, there are ingredients in skincare that actually have anti-glycation properties. So, and you know, these can actually help. So things like the, I always forget the name of this ingredient, something gibberellina, I'm trying to find it. Albezia Brisson, it's called. Which is something in our environmentally damaged TDS, and also alpha lipoic acid. So alpha lipoic acid has a kind of tightening effect on the skin, and reducing the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, and then it will also improve the appearance of dull and with glycation. And also the next thing is the environmentally damaged TDS serum, which is this here. So this has actually got the Albezia Brisson in it. I have to keep that written down because I can never remember the name. And it was originally developed for use during professional treatments. So when I first started using Nemu in my professional treatments, this was only available for use, you know, in a treatment. I couldn't sell it to a client, but now it is available as a retail product, which is absolutely fantastic. So because this has got so many brilliant properties, there's barrier repairing properties in here, it boosts hydration, it improves dark circles and puffiness around the eyes. And then in clinical results, it, you know, it says on the slide the skin was 96% more hydrated after 28 days, 51% increase in skin elasticity after 14 days, and 38% increase in skin hydration after 14 days. So again, a fabulous product for treating those kinds of wrinkles. So let's just talk a little bit about what affects this, how the skin changes with age. So in the younger skin here, you can see it's really sort of springy and firm. You've got your epidermis and your dermis, where you've got your elastin and your collagen cells in here, and it's all sort of how it should be. But then, as you can see, as we get older, the elastin and collagen is depleted, and this is the way your traditional wrinkle is formed. So not the glycation, the traditional wrinkle, because what happens is these kind of troughs appear where it sags down, and that is what is a wrinkle. So where you can see these troughs here, that is actually a wrinkle, and that's purely due to a decline in your elastin and your collagen. A bit like if you think of the springs on a mattress. When you first get your mattress, it's all nice and springy and plump like here, and then after 10 years or, you know, however long, you end up like this, and you can get dips in your mattress. That's how your sort of traditional wrinkle is formed. So another concern that you can have when you're in the menopause is a dry skin. Again, this is because of a few things really. Your oil production is on the decline, or it could also be due to an impaired barrier. So let me just see what the next slide is, because I want to talk a bit more. Yeah, so this is the skin's barrier. So if you think of the skin's barrier as like a brick wall, so these cells are the bricks, and this sort of darker pink area around the edge is the mortar holding the bricks together. In a healthy barrier, every single cell has got this mortar around it, which is kind of protecting it. So it's stopping bad things getting into the skin, such as bacteria and pollution and dirt. And it's also preventing water from escaping from the skin, because we want to try and hold on to that moisture in the skin. So when we're in the menopause, the skin doesn't make as much oil as it used to. And also because you've got this depletion in the barrier, that creates the dry skin issue as well. So you've got a lovely healthy barrier you know, when you're younger, which will have things like ceramides in there, and essential fatty acids. You've got antioxidants in there, a nice mix of salts and water, and that should be around every single skin cell. It stops irritants from getting in from the outside. But when you've got a compromised barrier, all these elements aren't there. And what happens is hyaluronic acid is made in the skin as well, but it needs water. So if you've got this transepidermal water loss going on and the water's evaporating through your barrier because it's not complete, it doesn't really matter what you put on your skin. It's not going to hold the water and the moisture from it, because it's just going to keep evaporating. So, you know, you might get therapists saying if you've got dry skin, you need to drink more water. But if you've got an impaired barrier, then there's no point drinking more water, because it's just going to evaporate out. Does that make sense? So what you need to do is to protect that barrier and sort of replace these areas where the mortar is, so that you prevent the transepidermal water loss. And you can do that by applying certain products topically to sort of help with this water retention in the skin. So water is essential for every chemical reaction, everything to do with life. So your skin doesn't if your skin doesn't have enough water, you're really going to struggle with your skincare. It's not going to work for you as well. So like I say, there's no point drinking loads of water if that barrier is impaired. So what you need to do to try and prevent that barrier deteriorating, there are things that you can apply topically to the skin, which I'll go through in a second, but also your in terms of your diet. So calcium, for example, which it's difficult to get calcium into the skin with skincare, so it might definitely be worth considering a calcium substitute, supplement, that's it, I can't think of the word, a calcium supplement. Some of the Nemu products do contain milk peptides, so that's good for drier skins. But in terms of the essential fatty acids, which will be depleting, then I would really recommend taking some kind of a fish oil supplement that's got omega-3, 6 and 9 in it. So you've got, you know, also the things sort of like sunflower seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, all these kind of things will help with barrier protection. And then we've got peptides as well in terms of collagen loss. So you can teach the skin to make more collagen with topical products. So oh, sorry, I'll just tell you about pre and post first. So as I was saying about the barrier, there are things that you can do to strengthen it with topical products. And Nemu do an amazing product called Pre and Post, which is absolutely fabulous, which everybody really who is on Nemu, I would recommend is also on Pre and Post, because this actually strengthens and hydrates the epidermis. So it reinforces that natural barrier. So where I showed you the bricks and mortar on the other skin cell picture, the mortar, which is the bit surrounding the brick, that's where it will kind of wrap around and protect and moisturize and prevent that transepidermal water loss. So rapid barrier repair, that's a product that you can use every day as the pre and post. So yeah, recommended supplements would be calcium, fish oil, omega-3, 6 and 9. They will all help with barrier repair. And then there are products that you can apply topically. So also with regard to collagen, this is going back onto the collagen now and the loss of collagen. AHAs, alpha hydroxy acids, which are with Nemu a combination of 3 different AHAs, glycolic, lactic and citric acid. And also peptides. Peptides have been around in skincare since the 1980s and are a fabulous anti-aging ingredient. But you know, you can treat this, teach the skin to make more collagen with products, but it does take longer. So you're talking sort of 10 to 12 weeks before you would start to see that difference, and it will start to stimulate that collagen. Yeah, so we're talking about teaching the skin again to make collagen. So other things that are good for collagen production are your retinols, but again, I'd err on the side of caution with retinols, because retinol is a very unstable molecule, and I know that you can sort of go online and order, you know, pure retinol in percentages and apply it to the skin, and I really wouldn't recommend that you do that, because you're likely to actually cause damage to your skin. The retinol that's in the Nemu products is encapsulated, so it doesn't actually get released until it's been delivered where it needs to go. So you won't get that reaction and the sensitivity that you will get by just applying general, you know, retinol products. But personally, for me, I do prefer AHAs, because you've just not got that risk you've got with retinol. So let's just briefly touch on treatments for collagen production. So this is a little bit of a video about microneedling. So I'll just talk while it's on. So what microneedling is, if you see in the picture, it's a roller that's got lots and lots of very, very tiny needles on it, which sounds really awful, but it isn't actually painful as such. I wouldn't say it was an enjoyable feeling, but it's certainly not painful. It's kind of just a little bit of a discomfort. And what it actually does is it kind of introduces a slight trauma to the skin. So the skin naturally produces collagen as part of the healing process. So that's why it's also called a collagen induction treatment. So by causing that very slight trauma, and it is very slight because you don't get actually any blood or blood spots showing when you have microneedling. But by causing that little tiny bit of trauma to the skin, it does make the skin produce more collagen. So microneedling is a really, really effective treatment for collagen production. It's non-invasive, and what happens is you would have a course of 6 treatments, 1 per month, and then the results can actually be maintained for about 12 to 18 months. So it's a long-lasting treatment. It's not the kind of treatment where you would just go and have one, because you wouldn't really feel any difference for just having one treatment. It's kind of the cumulative effect of having those monthly treatments over a 6-month period that you will actually really start to see the difference in your skin. So microneedling, I would say, yes, a fabulous treatment for collagen induction. The next thing that you could consider in terms of professional treatments is a skin peel. So again, this is using a much higher concentration of AHAs on the skin. So in terms of those of you who are on the Nemu home care, the highest concentration of AHAs in your home care that you will be using is a 10% active, which is your active lotion or active gel for those who are on phase 2. So with regard to professional treatments, if you're already seeing and feeling a really big difference in your skin just by using those percentages of actives at home, so, you know, your phase 2 active lotion is 10%, your cleansing gel is 1.7%, your conditioner is 7%. So if you're seeing and feeling those really good results just by using your home care, then just imagine how your skin will feel after you've had a course of peels, which are a much higher concentration of actives. So the lowest peel we do is a 15% bioactive peel, which we call active rejuvenation. So that's just a 15% peel, so still quite a low level. And the maximum strength of peel that we do is a 40%, which is the smart resurfacer. Now, I wouldn't ever just do a peel on somebody who, you know, walked into the salon and said, oh, I really want a skin peel. It just doesn't work like that, because I wouldn't be doing them any favours, because I don't know their skin, I don't know their history, I don't know what products they're using on their skin. And, you know, it could actually cause trauma to the skin, because the skin wouldn't be used to having that level of AHAs. So what we do with the Nemu approach is, in order for anyone to have a peel which is more than the lowest level, which is the 15% active rejuvenation, they would have to be on the Nemu home care, because that way we know how their skin is reacting to the AHAs. We know that the skin is healthy because we are, you know, maintaining that healthy barrier, because what we don't want to do is do anything that's going to compromise that barrier that I was talking about earlier. So the first thing that we do when anyone comes in is we want to make sure that that barrier is intact and protected, and not until we know that would we ever do a peel. So yeah, peels are great for stimulating collagen, but there wouldn't be any point in just having one. You need to have a course really to see the full benefits of a peel. Let's just change my merch round so I can see where I'm up to. Yeah, we're nearly done now, ladies. Actually, there's not much more to go. So just in terms of a few products then that I just want to reiterate the importance. Now, these products that I'm going to just quickly mention again now, you don't need to be on the full range of Nemu to use these products. You will get really good results in terms of protection and barrier repair from using these products as standalone products. So the first one is the SPF 50, which is the environmental shield, or there's the Nemu SPF 40, which is this is the travel size. The difference between the 40 and the 50 is that the 50 also protects against blue light. So, you know, a lot of us are working from home at the moment, sitting in front of a laptop or a computer screen all day, and that blue light that emanates from that screen is actually photoaging the skin. So that's just as bad for the skin as the UV is that I was talking about earlier. And this product is, I know it was definitely the first to market, and I still think it might only be the only one that does actually protect against what we call blue light. So yeah, if you're sat in front of a computer screen all day, then you definitely need that kind of protection. The pre and post is the barrier repairing serum that I mentioned earlier, which is this one. It's a really lightweight, I was going to see if I can show you. My hands are really dry, so I probably need some of this on my hands. So it's a really lightweight serum, and it goes in really easily. It just sinks straight into the skin. It's absolutely gorgeous. And you use that after you've cleansed and conditioned and before you put your moisturiser on. So that's just the added barrier protection that's going to prevent that transepidermal water loss and maintain a healthy barrier. And anyone really who's having skin peels in salon, we would really want them to be on pre and post as well. So that's that. And then the final one is the element barrier that you can see there. Element barrier is great for lots of things, but the reason why it's also great when you're going through the menopause is it's got an ingredient in there which takes the heat out of the skin. So when you're having a hot flush, it actually it regulates this heat in the skin. And what it is, it's exactly what it says. It's a barrier against the elements. So when you're going from a really warm environment, so you're in the house and then you're going out into the cold, and then you're going back into another warm environment and then back out of it, this constant sort of change in temperature is not going to do your skin any good at all, and that can affect the barrier. So I recommend this for sort of people who are outdoors a lot, who perhaps work outdoors, people who cycle, you know, they are on the bike and the wind is, you know, rushing past as they're cycling, people who go out for a run, dog walkers. You know, I always wear my element barrier on you know, not in the summer. I'd wear my SPF, and I'd sometimes wear both. I'd wear element barrier and SPF, but definitely sort of in the cooler months when you're going from hot to cold, then this is a product that can really help with that barrier protection. So we've nearly done. I just wanted to touch on a few updates for everyone, seeing as you're here. Has anybody got any questions? If you've got any questions, just unmute yourselves and ask away. Okay, so we are hoping to reopen on Wednesday, the 14th of April. Fingers crossed, if everyone does what they're supposed to do and doesn't start being silly. I'm not actually going to start booking any appointments in until after the next announcement, which is on the 15th of March, because we have been disappointed in the past when we've been given a date and then, you know, things haven't gone the way that Boris wanted, and we've been told we can't open. So that creates lots of hassle, lots of phone calls, rearranging people's appointments, refunding deposits, all sorts of mess. So I'm not going to do that until I've got the next announcement, which is on the 15th of March, and then we'll see. So keep an eye on the Facebook page. I just want to briefly touch on something which I've mentioned to a few of you, is that I did launch just before the first lockdown some Nemu VIP memberships. I think you've got a Nemu VIP on here actually. Now, the memberships are really good because it gives people the option of actually spreading the cost of their monthly treatments. So there's 3 memberships. There's the Nemu Core, which is £55 per month, which covers all your core products for a 12-month period. Because what you can find is when you're switching to a new skincare brand and you've got to sort of buy everything in one go, it can be quite a big amount to spend all in one go. So this just spreads the cost over a 12-month period. We've got the Nemu Advanced, which is £120 per month. I'm not going to go into like all the details of exactly what you get in these, because I shall put that up on the Facebook page and email it out at a later date. But the Nemu Advanced includes everything that's in Nemu Core, and also 11 skin peels. So that's 2 of the lower level active rejuvenation, 15%, so that we can see how your skin reacts initially, and then 9 of the higher level skin resurfacing treatments. So that could be glycolic peel, it could be an SRC treatment, it could be a skin resurfacer, whatever your dedicated skin specialist thinks you're going to get the best results from, that would be included in that monthly subscription. And then we've got the Nemu Complete, which is your core products, a course of 6 microneedling treatments and 4 active rejuvenation. So you'd have 2 active rejuvenation before you started your microneedling, and then you'd have your 6 microneedling, and then you'd have your 2 active rejuvenation after, and that's 1 per month. You'd have a month in between those treatments. So that's something which I'm reintroducing once we reopen. There's no point anybody signing up for anything at the moment because everything's too uncertain, but those are the memberships that are going to be available. So if anybody wants, you know, the full details of exactly what's included in any of these memberships, just drop me a note, and I will get the information over to you. For those who aren't already on the waiting list for an appointment, that is the link for the waiting list. So it is growing. So if you want to make sure you get your appointment when you want it, and you've got a bit of choice with when you can come in, then get your name on that list. Those who are on courses of treatments, it won't affect, because you're given a priority appointment anyway, because you've already paid for your course. And yeah, free online skin consultations. So I'm still offering these online skin consultations. I think 2 of you who were here have had them. So it's just an opportunity for me to have a chat with you on a one-to-one basis like this, you know, online, but obviously just me and you. I can ask you more questions about your skin and your lifestyle, any medication, any health issues that all affect your skin. And then I can put a treatment plan together, which is specifically for you. They're free at the moment because they're online. So I would say if you're thinking about it, just do it, because once we reopen and we're back to normal, there will be a charge for a skin consultation. It will be redeemable against a product purchase, but they will be chargeable. So if you're thinking about it, then I'd get it booked in now, because you can have it for free. And that's it. So that's my email address. If you want to unmute, if anybody's got any questions, or if you've got a question and you don't really want to ask it now, feel free to send me an email, and I'll do my best to get back to you with an answer.